an entire generation, my next guest burst onto the scene this summer as a commentator at Wimbledon. But for those of us who are a little older, he's rather more than that. He's the man who put some rock and roll into his serve and volley. Ladies and gentlemen, John McEnroe. Noisy bunch.
Very nice, very nice.
Now, John, you won Wimbledon 3 times. You won the US Open 4 times. You got 77 singles titles, 77 doubles titles. And so far as I've been able to work out, your training regime consisted of hanging out with Mick Jagger and Jack Nicholson and eating cheeseburgers.
That's why I only won 7 majors.
Was that true? You weren't one of these up at the crack of dawn?
It is true. I was on what I think you have it here, the Haagen-Dazs diet, which is a little different. But I train harder than people realize. But I did have some positive feedback from the 2 people you mentioned that, you know, in the mid-'80s when people were demanding that I be suspended for a year because of my outrageous behavior on the court, that they actually, I would see them and they would say, whatever you do, don't change anything. So to me, it was like, am I going to listen to these, you know, superstars, Mick Jagger or Jack Nicholson or someone like that, or am I going to listen to these clowns at Wimbledon? These old, you know, old association, old farts, if you will. Can you say that on? You can say anything, right?
Furthermore, you learned to play and played in your early days with this, which to most of the younger generation today would be classified as a snowshoe. And nowadays you get these sort of rackets. What does all the writing on them mean?
I have no idea, but I wish we did play with these rackets. I mean,
really?
These were great. I mean, the wood rackets, you know, they broke a lot more easily.
Do you think those rackets have spoiled the game?
Well, I think particularly in the men's side. I mean, you're seeing guys that are bigger and stronger than ever. I mean, as you see in all sports, people are getting bigger, and the technology is such that the power, particularly at Wimbledon, where you're playing on a grass court, which is fast, I mean, it's awful tough to deal with serves coming in at 120, 130 miles an hour. You watch Sampras, I mean, you think the guy's never going to lose again.
Yes. Why don't you make them play with dustbin lids?
That's in the year 3000.
No, that would be quite good. So what brings you over here now?
Well, I'm over here playing the seniors tour. We actually play at the Albert Hall, which is by far the best venue we play in around the world. It's beautiful, obviously, but the sound of it's great. So it inspires you to, for me, it's by far the most fun way to end the year.
And tomorrow you've got what is going to be the last time, in Britain anyway, that we'll be able to see you and Borg playing.
Well, he was my greatest rival. I mean,
yeah.
the matches that people remember, the one that we played 20 years ago and the one 19, unfortunately the one they bring up more is the one that he won. That's where they played the tiebreaker, and I won the tiebreaker, and most people nowadays don't even know that I lost the match. So, you know, I can sort of change history a little bit there. And it is sort of sad. I mean, he stopped playing really when the 2 of us, I thought, were playing our best tennis ever. I mean, he was only 25 years old. I was about 22 at the time. I thought that we were going to inspire each other, and it was, to me, it was devastating personally as a friend and as my greatest rival, but also for the sport, to have this guy suddenly just drop out and stop playing. So at least on the seniors tour, which we've been playing the past 5 or 6 years, him a little bit longer than me, that we've had a chance to sort of rekindle the flame a bit.
Who's going to win tomorrow?
Well, I think that I'll have to win, but...
So, today's players, they do seem to be a little bit emotionless. You see the ball plainly landing in Basingstoke, and then the linesman calls it in, and they go, oh, well, you know, and they go back. How do they do that? Are they being trained?
You're asking the wrong person, obviously. But I really don't. I think in some ways it's a reaction to players like Nastase, Connors, and myself that they really try to crack down on us, and I think that they lost some personality. I think the good news is, though, that there's been enough time that's gone by that people realize that they do want to see personality. The ironic thing is that in the old days, they'd fine me all the time. They'd take money away from me. Now, if I go on and play a seniors match and I don't get mad, they fine me.
We're paying you to lose your temper.
So if I get it, that's you know, it sounds funny, but it's actually, in a way, if I go out there and beat some guy 6-1, 6-1, they're like, what the hell's wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't gotten our money's worth. So there is a little more entertainment involved. I mean, I still go out and play to win, but I also try to mix it in. If they want me to get mad, I'll get mad. I think I have a bit of a sense of humor that I've shown with the commentator, so maybe maybe I can do a little of that too.
But when you were 15 or 16, I'm told that your coach and your father tried to get you to play without losing your temper. Did that work?
Not really.
No.
No. There were certainly times over the course of my career, even younger than that, where when my father would say to me, listen, you don't need to get mad. You'll play better if you don't. But you know how he said that to me? You know, I'll give you you don't need to get mad. You know, he's an Irish American. There was a lot of love in our house. There was also a lot of yelling. So to me, it goes and living in New York, you know, I go home and get off at the airport, and I'm on my way. If I'm lucky, if 10 people on the way home don't call me a jerk or an ass in the car. So this is a different environment that I grew up in.
I do get it, though. I mean, if I'd trained all my life for something, flown halfway around the world, and then missed a ball that was worth $500,000, I would abuse my racket.
It's not so much that. I think people also want to see that you're out there. You realize, I mean, this is a great job. I mean, to be a professional athlete, to me, is the ultimate. So what people want to see, I think one of the things they were most disappointed in the last 10 years is not only that they didn't see a lot of emotion, but it didn't appear at times that the players were giving 100%. And then they're thinking to themselves, hey, it's tough for me to put food on the table for a wife and a couple of kids. What the hell's wrong with these guys? They're not out there giving 110%. I think they have a point. So at the very least, they want to see that the guy's there and that he realizes that this is a situation that he should realize he's very lucky to be in.
Because I was thinking, in the 1980 semi-final you had at Wimbledon, when I think you disputed 17 calls. About average for you, I guess.
Is that all?
Yeah, 17. Now, experts have apparently analysed the tape, and 15 of them were absolutely indisputable. There was just no way. Now, you were there. Did you think, well, that was actually in, but I need a bit of a rage injection?
I didn't do that, actually. I really believed it. And maybe later on in my career, I was conning myself a little bit or trying to convince myself. I mean, your eyes have a way of shifting a little bit when you really want it to be.
When you've got the likes of Rosetsky and Sampras pumping them down at, what, 140 billion miles an hour?
It's definitely a job you don't want. I mean, there's no question.
Did you ever feel sorry for them?
I never felt sorry for him, but I definitely felt like it was a job that, you know, you got to be nuts to want to have.
Yeah.
I mean, it's particularly now. I mean, Rosetsky's hit a serve like he's like 150 miles an hour. Yeah. How in God's name is someone going to see that?
But does it ever happen when someone goes, I just don't know. I have no idea.
See, that's what I always wanted them to say. I said, listen, just say you don't know. That's okay, because you know we occasionally miss calls too. I mean, we see millions of balls, so we have a very good idea of where the ball is going to be as soon as it's hit. I'm referring to tennis players in general.
Yeah.
But not, you know, when you're sitting there. I mean, literally, when I came to Wimbledon the first couple of years, I'd be playing a match and I see a guy die. You know, not die, fall asleep, you know.
You once said that any adolescent male, competent male player, college circuit, I think you call it in America, could beat even the #1 woman. Do you still think
Well, I
that's
still
true?
believe that, and I don't say that in a critical way. Certainly when you take the Williams sisters, you know, physically they're, you know, really strong. But there's a lot of players out there, and there's a lot of different competition that you've grown up with. I didn't say I wanted to arm wrestle them. You know, I didn't say I wanted to play them. I simply said, in response to questions that are constantly asked of me, because they go around saying they can beat guys. You know, as far as I'm concerned, go play them then. You know?
Would you play one?
I don't have the need to play one. If it gets... but, you know, I never will for 1 second accept the fact that they're going to go out there and, you know, slog me and say, hey, they can beat some old man.
What about Anna Kournikova, though? Trouble playing her, I'd have terrible trouble.
I'd have trouble concentrating.
Yeah. What's the future for British tennis? Plainly not good.
No, well, you know, I don't know is the short answer. I mean, you know, Tim Henman is a legitimate, you know, 10 in the world, which is a great accomplishment.
10th best. I think it's because we treat tennis here as a game, not a sport. It's like something you do instead of Monopoly. Shall we play tennis or shall we have a game of Scrabble?
Well, I think that's changed a little bit the last 20 years. I mean, since I've been coming here, I remember there was only one indoor facility in the entire country.
We still get beaten by Ecuador, though.
That's embarrassing.
That is really...
You know, there's a very good Ecuadorian player, but nonetheless, you played at Wimbledon. And
it's Ecuador, man. This is Great Britain. We should be able to wipe the floor.
That's what you get when you turn an American into a Brit.
Wasn't he? No, he wasn't. Well, he was Canadian.
Well, that's true, a Canadian. That's
Canadian.
That's even worse.
Which is still
right?
ours. America's still ours as well, but we won't go there. Wimbledon was quite a stuffy place. Probably still is, run by lots of, you know, fierce housewives.
A lot better than it was.
Really?
Yeah, it is. They have made an effort, to their credit.
Yeah?
They really have.
How did they take to you in those early days?
Not very well. I thought it was funny. I mean, the first time I played, I was on this court. I lost the first set. I took a racket like this, and I put it over my... Can I break this now?
Well, our old Dunlop Max Ply.
Old Dunlop Max Ply.
No, don't. That's new.
Went and you know, started, and people, the first time I'd ever been booed in my life. At court 1 at Wimbledon, 1977, and I thought that was the funniest thing, so I put my racket down, I kicked it to the sideline just to see what they do. Boo! And I'm like, you know, what the hell do they care about? You know, I'm the one losing.
How often do you play now?
I play regularly because
Really?
I feel like in order to do the job, which I've been doing the past 3-4 years on the senior tour, to be the best guy there, I got to play regularly. So I train regularly, not as hard as I trained before, but I play 5-6 days, you know, 5 days a week, minimum of 4. I'll work out 2 of those other days, and only 1 day a week I'll take off.
Well, I'd love to have a game with you sometime.
Anytime, Jeremy.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, John McEnroe.